Welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. This is episode 84, a brief report on concussions in football. So we all love headers, especially goals scored from headers. Whether they're bullet headers, cheeky flicks, diving headers, or ones with just awe-inspiring athleticism, they get us going. They're always exciting. But we, in the last few years, have started to really understand that there is a risk. There's a fear that is gripping everybody about what may be the long-term effects of heading a ball. There are matches being trialed. There's one, I believe FIFA's putting it on, that they're going to do a match where in the first half, the only place that headers can occur is in the penalty area. And in the second half, 0 headers allowed at all. I've heard a lot of people talk about this. Most football purist fans just hate it and don't want anything to do with it, and I understand why. I'm more in that camp than the other. However, I think it's really important to try and figure out where the arguments are coming from, what research is being conducted, how people are finding the results they are, and what the general narrative is and why it's going where it's going. So let's get into concussions a little bit. First of all, concussions are way more likely in matches than they are in training sessions. Concussions, they have a higher rate in females than in males. Player-to-player contact is by far the most common way that results in concussions. It's the number one thing by a long way. Talking about heading a ball, purposeful heading of the ball rarely results in concussions, and probably never if the technique is right. There's just limited data to support the fact that the sport itself is a high risk factor for neurodegenerative diseases. Reduction of player contact, along with biomechanical and behavioral education, strength, awareness and training, and restructuring or enforcement of the rules will all serve to reduce concussion incidents in the sport of soccer. Now, I understand at the youth levels, a lot has been done to try and root that out of the game. And it makes a lot of sense, and there's a lot of good reasons why. I don't really think 8, 9, 10-year-olds should really be heading a ball. But educating how to head a ball to a 10 or 11-year-old with a soft ball can then teach them how to approach it when they use a real ball and the game gets to the point where heading is just a part of it. I would actually argue that in the 90s, headers were like, it was really, you'd see a lot of teams launching balls into the box, lumping balls forward. And when I look at the modern game, I see the ball on the floor a lot more. So just based on playing style, we may have reduced the amount of concussions you're seeing now versus before by quite a bit. Taylor Twellman actually said something about this. He said that, I think if it was invented today, heading would be outlawed until pretty much the professional level, the paid players. And that's an interesting thing to me, because what this says is that you want to ban a certain part of the game from all levels except the one where they're paid. So what this means is that you're saying they accept the risk, they're being paid. Yeah, but now you've got full-fledged professionals who have not been allowed to head a ball until they're professionals. How well do you think that's going to go? Look, I coached a game. The opponents had a throw-in. Kid goes and throws it up the line. A little bit of a looping throw. Bounces on the ground just in front of one of my players. So he's got 3 choices. 1, tilt your head down just a little bit and head the ball. 2, duck and dodge it completely and let it go behind you. Or 3, take it in the face. Okay. He takes what I consider was the right option, just lightly pads the ball down with his head and controls it. The referee calls a foul. Now, I understand the referee was following the rules, so I'm not dogging the referee for calling it. The kid was told, he was spoken to and said, if you do that again, you're going to have to go off the field. This doesn't mean red card, it just means take a break because you're clearly not paying attention to the safety. And spoke to me and said, please tell your players no one's allowed to head the ball. The ball was going to hit him in the face. And I watched this happen and realized within the next few years as I was coaching 15, 16, 17-year-olds, how many of them did not know how to head a ball. The crazy thing is, you see handballs all over the place from players who, when a ball's in the air, they go sort of towards it, they stick their feet, karate kick style up, they put their arms up, and then you're conceding penalties and free kicks because kids are scared. If you're one of those people that hears this and goes, well, that's good, at least they're just not heading the ball. That's the dangerous thing. No, the dangerous thing is that they're recklessly moving their bodies around jumping in the air, kicking and throwing their arms up. Now you've got elbows all over the place. I mean, it's not safer. It's just not safer. Very rarely do you hear commentators or analysts or ex-pros or anyone talking about how you are supposed to jump for a ball. What is the rule? Here's what it is. The rule is quite simple. When you are going into a headed challenge with someone else, you're supposed to jump straight up. You're supposed to get where you think the ball is going to go and jump straight up. That's it. If both people jump straight up, it's shoulder-to-shoulder contact, and rarely are the heads going to smash into each other. One of the biggest things I notice all the time in games is when there is some kind of foul or an incident where a player gets just trucked in a headed challenge, it's because someone came jumping from the side. If you jump like that and someone else jumps straight up, you're going to take them out every time, and you're going to injure them. How can the rules actually be enforced in the way that they're already written? You don't have to change them, but you just have to enforce them. So we have to start talking about those things before we talk about banning again. Now, headgear is an interesting topic as well. If you outfit a whole bunch of players, if you outfit 20 kids or whatever with this headgear and say, go on out and play, what's going to happen? What they've found with these, they've tried some of these games with players where everyone's wearing the headgear, and they haven't noticed any kind of reduction in the way the incidents that lead to concussion happen, because basically everyone's like, oh, I'm protected. I can be a little bit more reckless, or I can be just a little bit more ambitious and aggressive. And look, I'm all about coaches limiting headers in training. And they used to do training sessions. The coach would either punt or smash balls into an area, and 3 or 4 players just had to go and battle for it. And they used to do this for 40, 45 minutes, just repeatedly over and over and over. Can I tell you all, those are the dog days, and I hope they are over everywhere. I really hope that no one's doing this anymore. It's old school, and it's the type of thing that, honestly, I haven't seen on a field in years. So anyone who's complaining about that, please take that with a grain of salt. If you hear an ex-pro talking about how dangerous these training sessions were, then just go, okay, cool, you're talking about the past. Let's be honest, the most terrifying incident in terms of injury we've seen this year was not a head injury. It was cardiac arrest. When Christian Eriksen went down fit as a fiddle at the Euros and his heart stopped for something like 15, 20 minutes, what we learned was that quality CPR training and understanding of how you can use a defibrillator and what kind of time you have, just how to go about that whole process, that saved a life. As awful as it is to witness as spectators horrible injuries on television, this is a sport and it comes with risks. And like I said, I don't think that headers should be banned whatsoever, but I do think the education from the base level needs to improve. I think that teaching with softballs and water balloons and maybe even an egg to show them the right ways. And then, look, if we are, as humans, train ourselves to be wise and safe at the same time, we can accomplish all kinds of things. But if we reduce ourselves to a point of fear and say, that's just too dangerous, we're going to lose what makes so many of these sports and different things in life exciting, fun, and worth something.